Hello friends, today's lecture is symbolic expression and it is based on the National Unity Day, which is celebrated on 31st October every year since 2014. And as an interpreter we have Manisha Sharma with us. And as all of us are aware that the contribution of Sardar Patel is integral to the integration of the various princely states after independence, and the way he handled that kind of a situation, and that is how we also find that he was known as the Iron Man of India. So Sardar Patel's contribution not only as a politician in the national movement but also as a person who was given this task of integrating the various states of India, and the kind of deft playing in the context of his ideas in that particular arena and time, we find that India was able to integrate more than 550 states to the Indian Union. So today we will talk about that how since 2014 the National Unity Day is being celebrated in India, the kind of pledge which is being taken by the members, the people of India or the citizens of India. And we will also try to analyze not only his contribution in the national movement but at the same time the way he integrated the various states as well. So in the context of the readings, one can refer to an article by Saurav Ratnu, Sardar Patel, a hero for all ages, in Sardar Patel, Builder of Aspirational India, the book edited by S.N. Tripathi and Saket Bihari. Apart from that, Sunil Shukla and Amit Kumar Dwivedi, Sardar Patel, an architect of unified India. This article can also be referred when one is talking about Sardar Patel, which is again in the same book. Then Feroz Rangoonwala's 75 years of Indian cinema also provides some of the details regarding the role which was played by Sardar Patel in terms of in a way supporting the film projects in 1940s and 30s. So we find that these kinds of readings, apart from the collected works which are there on Sardar Patel, as well as some of the articles which have been published on him, all of them, they have played an important role in terms of understanding not only the personality and persona of Patel, but at the same time the kind of groundwork which he did in terms of integrating the Indian states. So we find that National Unity Day or the Rashtriya Ekta Divas, as I told you, is celebrated on 31st of October every year, and it is to commemorate the birth anniversary of Sardar Patel. And this year, today, we find that it is the 147th birth anniversary of Sardar Patel, and how his role can be understood in today's context as well. As I told you that it is the birth anniversary of Patel, who was born in 1875 and served the Indian nation till 15 December 1950 till he died. And he was also the first Deputy Prime Minister of India, and the kind of work which was done by him which provided him this kind of a title that he was the Iron Man of India. And we also see that the kind of persuasion which he had in terms of influencing so many states at the same time, and all the hurdles which came in his way. And as I told you that the kind of contribution which he made to the national movement, that how he was one of the trusted lieutenants of Mahatma Gandhi during the freedom struggle. And we have also seen that how the Ministry of Home has in a way given some kind of official statement for the National Unity Day, and how it will provide an opportunity to reaffirm the inherent strength and the resilience of our nation to withstand actual and potential threats to the unity, integrity and security of the country, and how people of India, they take some kind of a pledge in government offices, that I solemnly pledge that I dedicate myself to preserve unity, integrity and security of our nation, and also strive hard to spread this message among my fellow countrymen. I take this pledge in a spirit of unification of my country, which was made possible by vision and actions of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. I also solemnly resolve to make my own contribution to ensure internal security of my country. So when you talk about these kinds of pledge which are there, and especially with regard to the unity of India, and we are also aware that so many divisive forces in the country on the basis of either religion or caste or religion or region or language for that matter, they are in a way play an important role in terms of dividing the country. So when the individuals or the citizens of the country, they will take this kind of a pledge that they will give their best or they will contribute to the internal security of the country, then that will basically play an important role in terms of unifying the country as well. So we see that how Patel in a way not only played an important role in the independence of India, but also the consolidation of the hard-earned freedom as well. And while we are talking about his contribution in terms of administration or governance, one has to take the kind of personality which Patel had, how various kinds of forces shaped Patel and his philosophy of life as well. And we also see the organizational and public as well as experience which he had, in that sense, which he gained over a period of time while he was mobilizing the forces for the political resistance to the alien rule. So when you talk about Patel, we also see that he was in a way directly associated with the administration as well after the formation of the interim government in September 1946 till his death in December 1950. So the contribution of Patel during this particular period was far more important, in that sense that when India attained independence, then it was imperative that how it remains united. So in this sense, Patel played definitely a major role, and how he was in a way able to motivate or sustain the kind of efforts which he had put in during this time. And that was also reflected in earlier period when he was associated with the national movement as well. And when we talk about the kinds of ideas which Patel had in his mind while he was playing some kind of a role with the government work in Gujarat, and he wanted that the work should be done in the mother tongue, and that is how the first Gujarati typewriter was to be assembled, which was commissioned by him in 1924. And how Ahmedabad municipality had approached the Remington company and paid it rupees 4,000 at that point of time for putting together the first typewriter in Gujarati language on his instructions. So Patel had that kind of a foresight, and that he valued the vernacular education, and he wanted to work within that kind of a language as well. And if we see during the times of the national movement as well, that how the taxes they were being raised in the Bombay presidency by around 30%, and how the taluka of Bardoli was facing some kind of a serious calamity, as farmers barely had any crop or property to pay off the tax, and they were in a way facing some kind of existential crisis and wanted Vallabhbhai Patel to lead them. And Patel did not want to rush into that kind of a situation, and he in a way fully realized that if they will revolt in some way, what kind of consequences could be foreseen. And he also realized that refusing to pay the taxes could lead to their property being confiscated, including their lands, and many would go to jail. So this could face complete some kind of a decimation for the farmers, those who wanted to in a way participate in the movement. And he said that he would not lead them unless he had that kind of an understanding and agreement of the villages which were involved. And villagers, they replied, and they were ready for the worst, and they wanted him to lead them in this way. And Patel in a way also sought advice of Gandhi in this matter, and Gandhi merely asked him that what he thought, and when the latter replied with the confidence about the prospects of a revolt, Gandhi gave his blessings as well. So we find that how Gandhi and Patel, they agreed that neither the Congress nor Gandhi, they would directly involve themselves, and the struggle be left entirely to the people of the Bardoli Taluka. And we find that how he was successful also in this sense, when he aligned with the villagers and the kind of problems which they were undergoing at that point of time, and he realized that there was need for the non-violence and cohesion, and Patel initiated struggle with a complete denial of taxes. So Patel in a way organized the volunteers, camps and an information network across affected areas, and many sympathetic satyagrahis, they also in a way joined him across Gujarat. And we also find that despite the arrests, the seizure of property and the land, the farmers, they refused to back down, and the struggle also in a way intensified over a period of time. And we also find that during this period in 1928, some of the sympathetic Parsi intermediaries in Bombay Presidency, how Patel negotiated a settlement, and which included the repealing of the tax hike, reinstating the village officials who had resigned in protest, and returning the seized property and land. So it was in a way a big victory for the local farmers movement, and that how they were able to secure some kind of rights for themselves against the mighty empire. And we also find that during this struggle how the women of Bardoli, they bestowed the title of Sardar to Vallabhbhai for his leadership qualities. So we find that the kind of self-confidence which was exhibited by him and the momentum which was gained from the Bardoli victory, it played an important role in the resurrection of the Indian national movement. And how we also find that the call which was given by the Congress for the Indian Independence Day in 1930, and thereafter the Salt March which was launched by Gandhi, and how Patel was a trusted lieutenant by his side. And we also find that when Patel decided to do something, he excelled in that kind of a field which he chose for himself, and he assumed the role of a leader effortlessly and unassumingly when he was working for that particular kind of an objective. So we also find the kind of relationships which he had, a relationship which he had with Gandhi, and how he regaled with Gandhi in cheerful talks and some kind of a pungent sense of humor. He did not even hesitate to make fun or reprimand him when it was needed. And when once Gandhi threatened to go on fast a second time on the issue of place of Harijans in Hindu society, Patel got angry and said, "I wish you would let people have some peace. Let those who have gathered there do what their wisdom tells them to do. Why do you want to hold a pistol against to their head and worry them? People will feel that this man has nothing to do, and he keeps on talking of fasting in season and out of season." So this kind of a deep and pragmatic understanding of the true character of the average Indian was Patel's greatest strength, and he had this kind of a audacity to even talk to Gandhi with some kind of a sarcasm even. And so in that way he had this kind of a clear-cut thinking in his mind when he was dealing with various affairs of the Indian state as well. And how he was also closely associated with the Congress party at an organizational level as well, and he became Congress main fundraiser and chairman of its central parliamentary board, playing the leading role in selecting and financing candidates for the elections as well. So we find that he did not want to contest or did not contest a seat for himself. Rather, he was busy in guiding congressmen being elected in the provinces and at the national level as well. So the way he was maintaining the unity in the elected congressmen was there during the national movement as well. And he was also instrumental in determining the role of Congress on various issues and opponents as well. So he was, in terms of his thinking, he was very clear, and many times he also clashed with Nehru as well, when Nehru wanted the declarations of the adoption of socialism at 1936 Congress session. And Sardar Patel believed that it was a diversion from their main goal of achieving independence. And so Patel in a way realized that any kind of a diversion at that point of time would not be suitable or appropriate from the point of view of Indian independence. And he was also in a way opposed to the parrot cry of socialism, and he lashed out at against socialists for their agitation on that particular issue when he considered that it was hampering the unity and the strength of the country as well. So he was a true pragmatist from that point of view, and he had that kind of an apprehension as early as 1934 that borrowed methodology of socialism could be misused to establish fascism in India. And we also find that how he organized the rank and file of the Congress in opposition to the then Congress President Subhash Chandra Bose's attempt to move away from Gandhi's principle of non-violent resistance, and that happened in 1938. So we see that how Patel saw Subhash Chandra Bose as wanting more powers over the party, and he led senior Congress leaders in a protest that resulted in resignation of Subhash Chandra Bose. And some kind of a criticism arose from the supporters of the Bose as well, that how, and even some of the socialists and other congressmen, that Patel himself was acting in an authoritarian manner in his defense of Gandhian authority. So all these kinds of ideas they have been talked about with regard to Patel as well, but we find that how when Nehru, Rajagopalachari and other leaders initially criticized Gandhi's proposal for an all-out campaign of civil disobedience to force British to grant Indian independence, Patel was its most fervent supporter. So he fervently supported it, and Patel gave emotional speeches to large crowds across India, asking them to refuse to pay taxes and to participate in the civil disobedience, mass protest, and shutdown of all civil services that way. So we find that how he raised various kinds of tax funds and prepared a second tier of command as a precaution against the arrest of the national leaders. And some of the historians, they believe that Patel's speeches were instrumental in electrifying the nationalists who up to then had been skeptical of the proposed rebellion. So we find that how Patel was one of the first Congress leaders to accept the partition of India as a solution to the rising Muslim separatist movement which was led by Jinnah, and he had been in a way outraged by Jinnah's direct action plan campaign which had provoked communal violence across India. But he was aware that Jinnah did enjoy popular support among the Muslims, and that an open conflict between him and the nationalists could degenerate into a Hindu-Muslim civil war of disastrous consequences. So we find that how the communal violence which was there in Bengal and Punjab in January and March 1947 further convinced Patel of the soundness of partition. So in a way he realized or understood that partition in a way was inevitable, and he in a way also supported that when partition will take place, then India will be able to in a way build some kind of a unity for itself. And when Lord Mountbatten formally proposed the plan of partition of India on June 3, 1947, Patel gave his approval and lobbied Nehru and other Congress leaders to accept that kind of a proposal. So knowing Gandhi's deep anguish regarding the proposal of partition, Patel engaged him in frank discussion in private meetings over what he saw as practical unworkability of any Congress League coalition, the kind of violence which was rising at that point of time, and the threats of civil war. So Patel was again showing his pragmatic self when he realized that how after the direct action day which was initiated by the League and the kind of violence which was perpetrated by the League during the direct action day and thereafter, so it became increasingly difficult to maintain that kind of a unity of India, and Patel realized that the partition will be inevitable from that point of view, and sooner the leaders realize this kind of a situation, better it would be for India as well. And in that context he also in a way tried to make Gandhi realize that how partition would be an inevitability in that context. And when All India Congress Committee meeting was called to vote on this kind of a proposal, Patel said, I fully appreciate the fears of our brothers. Nobody likes the division of India and my heart is heavy. But choice is between one division and many divisions. We must face facts. We cannot give way to emotionalism and sentimentality. Working committee has not acted out of fear, but I am afraid of one thing, that all our toil and hard work of these many years might go waste or prove unfruitful. So we find that how Patel in a way realized this kind of a situation, that how the leaders of the national movement, they have worked over a period of time, and if partition at this point of time will not be accepted, then in the later part many divisions of India might take place. And so he was ready to accept the situation as it was unfolding at that point of time. And he also realized that if it will not be accepted now, then the kind of toil and the hard work which has been put over the years, then it might go waste, or it might prove unfruitful from the point of view that India may not remain united. So we find that Patel also said that how his 9 months in the office, they have been completely disillusioned him regarding the supposed merits of the cabinet mission plan. And except for a few honorable exceptions, Muslim officials from top down to chaprasis are working for the Muslim League. And the communal veto given to League in the mission plan would have blocked India's progress at every stage. So in this way, Patel had the full realization of the situation from his viewpoint, and he realized that how Muslims officials from top down to the chaprasis, they were working for the League, or the Muslim League for that matter, and how communal veto which had been given to the League in the mission plan would block any kind of progress which India may undertake at any point or any stage of time. So when we see the contribution of Patel, where he also says that the de facto Pakistan already exists in Punjab and Bengal, and under any kind of circumstances which are there, he would prefer a de jure Pakistan which may make League more responsible, and how he realized that the freedom was arriving. And he says that how 75 to 80% of India, which India will have that way after the partition of India, how we can make that strong with our own genius, and League can develop the rest of the country which will be given to the League. So in our next lecture, we will further talk about the contribution of Sardar Patel from different perspectives. And in the meantime, I'd like to just say that how the contribution of Patel and the celebration of his particular birthday as the National Unity Day is an apt kind of a tribute to him for the contribution which he made for the national movement as well as for the unity of India. Thank you very much.